might think that getting into the IT field is impossible without a computer science degree, but Tech Coach Ralph is here to prove you wrong. Get ready for some jaw-dropping revelations on how to break into this lucrative industry. Listen up, tech enthusiasts! Are you ready to break through into the IT field, but feel like you need a computer science degree to make it happen? Think again! Tech Coach Ralph has some exclusive, mind-blowing secrets to share with you. Get ready to be blown away by his jaw-dropping revelations on how to break into the tech industry without a computer science degree. So get your notepad ready, because Tech Coach Ralph is going to change your life forever. Buckle up, because you're about to embark on a journey to success in the IT field.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Today is Wednesday, February 14th, 2024. It is apparently Valentine's Day, so happy Valentine's Day to everyone out there. All right, we are going to get into our show. Last night, we had an amazing night. We had our cybersecurity Q&A night. We had Socks on with us. We had Don on with us. Don, who is responsible for the Chaos Camp GitHub. I talk about him all the time and the amazing work that he does there. And, we were talking about Sox University. We're answering some cybersecurity questions. We're just getting a whole bunch of different perspectives. So it was an amazing, amazing night. And I would highly recommend that you go and you tune into that as well. All right. Let me just check this mic setting real quick, make sure we're good. Looks good on my end. All right, so we'll go with that. All right, so we are going to get into our news real quick, and then after the news, we're going to get back into Flutter. But wait. Give me just 1 second here. I did not even, you don't even know who the hell that I am talking to you about this Flutter and all this type of stuff, right? If you do not know who I am your host of the show, Tech Coach Ralph, where we are engineered to win. Yes, we are. We love winning over here, and that's what we are always focused on, all right? So let's go and get into our news. If you haven't done so yet, go ahead and like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you can know every time we go live. We're going to be premiering our introduction to quality engineering at noon today. I redid the video because I did it when I first started the channel, and I made it a little bit better, a little bit more information. So I think you'll definitely enjoy it. So definitely tune in for that. All right. And then tomorrow night, we're going to be going live. We're going to be continuing our automation efforts on the Free Mind Recovery site. That is the site by Calculus Coder. So go ahead and check his site out, his channel and his site out as well. Very great information over there. Okay. So let's jump in. Let me put the timer up. And let's jump in. We have 4 articles today. We're going to jump into our news. All right. The very, very first one to start our timer. The Department of Education to pick up pace on student aid, right? So, perfect timing, right? Election year, right? The Education Department is vowing to speed up financial aid processing after a prolonged revamp of the free application for federal student aid. So FAFSA. I'm sure a lot of us are familiar with FAFSA. Last year put college-bound students months behind schedule. To make up for lost time, the agency will do fewer lengthy FAFSA verifications, forego new program reviews unless there is a suspicion of fraud, and loosen a recertification requirement for colleges and universities. This year, only half as many financial aid applications as last year were submitted by February 2nd, leading one counselor to call the FAFSA overhaul a fiasco. Some university systems have rolled back the deadlines when students must commit to attending to allow them to compare financial aid offers. Eventually, the simplified FAFSA should make applying for aid easier. It has fewer questions, draws information directly from tax returns, and expands Pell Grant eligibility, right? So I would say that it probably does sound like a fiasco. And this the part where it says, it's going to loosen up research, like, so to make up for lost time, the agency will do fewer lengthy FAFSA verifications, forego new program reviews unless there's suspicion, and loosen up recertification requirements for colleges and universities. That sounds like it's going to be a whole nother PPP loan scandal again, but this time focused on student loans, because when there is an opportunity to scam, scammers will scam bars. All right. So let's jump into our next story. So Chrysler looks at all electric vehicle future, all EV future, right? So Chrysler, which I believe is Stellantis, is hoping its Halcon days aren't yet over, unveiling a new electric concept car under that name on Tuesday. The vehicle has fully autonomous driving capabilities. Well, hopefully it does not go the way of Cruise and Waymo, but vehicles have fully autonomous driving capabilities and is made with new battery materials. But it will be some time before customers can actually buy anything like the Halcyon. Chrysler now offers just one product line, the Pacifica minivan, so the electronic soccer mom van, and isn't planning to roll out any new vehicles until next year. The 2025 arrivals is widely expected to be Chrysler's first all-electric car, a step towards the brand's goal of selling only EVs by 2028. So that's going to be a very interesting turn of events. Like all of a sudden they are going to only EVs, when we've also heard some, interesting things about the EV market as well. But Chrysler owner Stellantis on Monday became the last major automaker to adopt Tesla's electric charging plug. Okay, so better late than never, but I guess Chrysler can now be charged with the Tesla plug. Okay, cool. All right, let's jump into our next article for the day. It says students can now major in AI. So, though many workers view generative artificial intelligence as a threat to white collar jobs, younger generations hope to build careers around the technology.
Message.
And that's a problem that a lot of people have, is that they hold on to the past, and it's like, we just, what about this and what about that? Like taxis, and I like I said the other day, I don't know when's the last time I've seen a taxi, right? But taxi drivers were vehemently against Uber and Lyft and all that, and now ride sharing is the way to go, and like we just recently heard that Pizza Hut over in California is getting rid of all of their delivery people to go, because it's just too damn expensive. And they're going to be going with probably Uber Eats and DoorDash and all that, So it says, though many workers, so we read that, enter undergraduate AI engineering programs with the University of Pennsylvania on Tuesday, becoming the first Ivy League school to say it will offer the major in the fall. Robert Gerst, an associate dean of Penn Engineering, acknowledged in a statement that the program is challenging to design and pursue. Well, why don't you just use AI to design it? We are training students for jobs that don't yet exist in fields that may be completely new or revolutionized by the time they graduate, he said. Specifically, the coursework will include machine learning, computing algorithms, data analytics, and advanced robotics. For more coverage on AI, all right, check out that, right? So here's what I would say, right? Because at least seeing the people who go for QA coming out of computer science, it's just a major, but there's going to be so much additional learning needed outside of that in order to actually like be productive in the artificial intelligence field. Unless you go to like MIT and you're working with like Boston Dynamics or something like that. But it's going to be for I think college just really lays the groundwork into technology, but what you're going to be learning outside of college is what's going to make the major difference. So we'll see how that goes. You know, a lot of times from what I've seen is the ones who are out there in the world are the ones who are actually getting things done. And you know, let's just move on from that. Right? I'm not even going to go into that. All right. Anyways, let's go into our last story of the day. It says Disneyland workers look to unionize. A group of about 1,700 workers who portray costumed characters such as Mickey and Minnie Mouse at California's Disneyland have announced their intent to join the Actors Equity Association. They really consider themselves as actors? All right, okay. That's new to me. While the effort is in early stages, the union, which also represents Broadway actors, says it already has the 30% support it needs to start a representation vote with the National Labor Relations Board. The character workers, calling themselves Magic United, are asking for higher wages, more transparency on scheduling and rehiring, and review of workplace conditions. The group includes staffers who appear in character for meet and greets and dining experiences, as well as their hosts and trainers. Performers doing similar jobs at Disney World in Orlando have been part of a union for years. I did not know that. And until recently were paid more than those in Orange County, despite a significantly higher cost of living there, the union says. Right? And oh God, let's just read this one real quick. This brings me so much joy. While there are frontline Disney cast members, I am one of them. If you've ever seen your friends drenched to the bone with sweat along after a long parade, you know they deserve this. No, I'm sorry, I don't know that. And if you know the lengths that Disney has gone to avoid or undermine unions and fair pay, you now you know they need this. No, I don't. Let's leave that alone. But what I'm gonna do is I am going to invest in some stocks, in some robot stocks, right? Maybe that maybe the Tesla human bots, right? Because I would make the case, right, of dressing up with those bots in the outfits, in the costumes, and have them be the workers, and there you have no complaining, none of that stuff, right? Just my thoughts. Just my thoughts. So I'm going to be looking into some robots because they're not going to unionize or not. I mean, they might at someday, but not right now, you know? So, anyways, that is our news for today. Okay. So let's talk about what we really, really want to talk about. Let's talk about Flutter. So, Flutter, like I said the other day, we have the apps in the Android store in test mode. We have it in the Apple store in test mode. The process was very interesting to getting there. I'm gonna throw up. What time? We're gonna throw up. Let's throw up 25 minutes on the clock. All right. So yeah, the process was pretty interesting to get there. Um, it's so interesting. Like after you actually, so think about it like this, right? For those who have been in software development, you can write the code and everything like that, right? And it's all good. But let me see. Let's go here. Okay, cool. But now getting your software deployed, it's a whole nother beast, right? Because and you've seen on like the after we built like an application with Node and Express, right? Now it's like, okay, now we need to deploy it. And finding where to deploy it, what's the right way to do it, what service provider to use, that's a whole nother story, right? So you've seen going between, okay, do it on AWS. We looked at Vercel. We looked at doing it on AWS using the Fargate. We settled on what's their name on Elastic Beanstalk. So there's not that many options when you're trying to deploy to the App Store, but going through the process is something that is very interesting. I mentioned the other day, it's like we had to pay $25 to get registered with Google, $100 to get registered with Apple. But I must say, right, because a lot of people say, "Oh, you got to pay for Apple and stuff like that." I must say their system that they have in place for getting apps into their app store and stuff like that, like it is on point. I One of the people who are testing the app, they had they left some feedback, and the way that the whole system goes in Apple, like you get screenshots, you get like the message, like the feedback that they give, it's really cool, I must say. So I was pretty impressed by Apple's platform for testing their apps, and and that's something I was thinking about doing, right? Probably, I haven't decided yet, but making the app available to anyone to test, because I think you can get up to, like, on Apple, you can get up to like 10,000 testers. I think on Google it's like 1,000. So we will see how that goes. But yeah, so what I really want to focus on, though, let me open the softwares, is, so if you remember, a week ago today, right? That's when we pivoted. Say, okay, instead of the keto calculator, we're going to first build the time cost calculator, because we're more familiar, like, because one, I didn't really care that much about it, being in doing that one in test driven development first. I said, because I need to learn, get a better understanding of Flutter, I'll just go through the course using the time cost calculator, and by doing that, I was able to really pick up a lot on Flutter. So now what I want to focus back on is writing tests for the widgets, because writing the tests for the logic, the business logic, that was not an issue. It's just regular code, like whether you're writing code in Python or Java or JavaScript, whatever the case may be, right? But the widgets part was very, very new to me, and how to code that out. So that's why I wanted to figure out how to use, like, that part first, like building out the UI, and then now we can go back and write our tests. And then going forward, we're always going to be writing our tests first, and then we are going to write our test first, and then we're going to write the code to make the test pass, like we've been doing. Right? Let me check something real quick. And while I'm doing that, let me go ahead and start up our Android Developer Studio. All right, so let's see what you have going on here. All right, so we have our Android Studio up. All right, so we have Android Studio up. Let me devices. We're not going to be running any devices this morning, but that's fine. All right, minimize that. So I can get the bot here. Sometimes even the bots don't want to show up for work. So Anyways, we will figure that out. Okay, so let's go over to the other screen. All right, so this is the code, right? So I mean, this right here, this is like for the icons that you see for the app, but I wanted to go to mm, quick. All right. All right. So, and there's so many little things that you pick up along the way that like I can't even remember until we get to them, right? But let me go ahead into our test folder. Slow. All right. So, I have this time cost material widget test, right? So this one right here, time cost formula test, that's our test for the that's our test for like the business logic, and then this is supposed to be testing the business layout. I mean the layout of the UI. So let's get to it. So I'm gonna open up this file. Going so slow. I don't know why. Mm. All right. So and inside of this file, I have in this file, I have like all the tests that I wanted to write, So and these are based on like the input that you put in. And so like as I was going along, I said, okay, I want to write this test, that test, and the other test. And I have so these are some of the ideas of testing that I have. And based on some feedback that I got as well, there's going to be some additional tests. So to start off, like what I did was I wrote this test to get a general idea of how it would work. Right. So this one right here was just validating that the title is correct. So test widget. So this is like the name of it where I'm saying test the widget, validate title is correct, and then expect to find text time cost calculator, right? But I don't like it like that because they're just saying like because time cost calculator can be like in multiple areas on the application. So I would want it to be to specify that it's the title that we're talking about. Um, and let me see, we have here. So here we're saying validate that the calculate your hourly value is there and see how it says finds any. I'm not really too fond of that, but what we can do it eventually is like we're going to the separate out the widgets to break them down into smaller widgets. So and if we look at here, test form input is being passed to formula. So here we're passing about user income and we're saying like 62,000. Value from inputted field is 0. So when an input is done on the yearly income field, and then formula should store the value as user entered on focus off. Uh, so what we're saying is we are passing the stored value from okay, so this is to make sure that the calculation is actually being done on the is being done on the UI, right? Because what we want to do is when we pass this information in, that the calculation that the numbers are correct. So let's just try to run these tests real quick. Mm, value store. So one thing, so let me see. Value stored from. So one issue. So I think I wrote this test like when I first, like when we were first getting started, because I don't see why. Let me see input. Okay, so this is just matching that. All right, I got it. I got it. But we do want it to eventually like get all the calculations done as well, right? So let's just run this, see what happens. Let me see. It's so slow today. I don't know why. Let me see. Good morning, Mitch. How is it going? This computer is acting up this morning, so um, we'll see what happens with that. Try this real quick. Let's go here. See if we can fix this in real time. Let's see what we can do. Okay, gonna see if this is gonna help. All right, so let's try running that again. Okay, yeah, I think that helped. Okay, so rendered some video last night, and that I think that slowed down the computer with the space it was taking. So let's try that again. Run test. Let's run the test. And the testing part of it, like for me, that's the most important because I want to be confident. Like what the testing does, it gives you confidence that the changes that you're making, they're not going to be very detrimental, right? So honestly, I'm not going to push any more changes up to any of the stores right now until I get this testing in place, you know? And then because once I get the testing in place, then I also want to add back the ads that I had to disable because it was causing the app to crash on Android, and I didn't even get a chance to test it on Apple yet. I said, I'm just gonna disable it for now and see what happens. Let's see. Still taking a sweet time. Okay. All right. While we wait, let's start. Oh, you know what? It might not even work. To be honest with you, um, I think that I have to look into that more. But what we can do, we can start setting up our tests. Right? It's just gonna pretty much follow. So okay. So I'm gonna put a note here that. Stop this. Let's put a note in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in the expected results as well. So, and that way we can write it when we're writing our test, right? So, test entering yearly income with decimals, and we're going to say, So we're not accepting decimals on yearly income, right? Okay, so we can start writing this test out. And then on Friday, this computer should be working a lot smoother. So I don't know. I should have probably restarted it this morning. But whatever, it is what it is. We are going to make lemonade out of lemons right now. So let's just start writing. Let me move this right here. All right. So let's go here. And we're going to say, so I'm going to paste this real quick. And we're going to start at least writing out our test widgets. And then because I'm going to keep working on this during the like up till Friday, right? But we're going to say here, we're going to say widget tester. Now we can get our test set up, right? We're going to go here and we're going to say, need async. And let's close this up, right? So now we have our test set up we can throw a name in here. We're going to say entering yearly income with decimals, or let's say instead, because we're not entering it with decimals, we are validating that yearly income field doesn't accept decimals, right? So, and how we're going to do that, right? So I'm just going to write out the test case, right? And then I'll write out the test case and then we'll code it later, right? So we're going to say here, enter the user income field with or set the user income field with decimals. Some more stuff up. All right. So we're entering it with decimals, and then we want it to be and we're gonna say the field. So verify field does not capture the decimals and only returns it as whole numbers. All right, so that's gonna be the test that we're going to end up writing. You know. Okay, so we can start off. Let's start off with this, right? So int user income input. right? And that should equal to, let's say we throw in, I don't always like using the same numbers over and over again, just because I like to get different results, right? And there's gonna be another test as well that we're gonna do with what is this? Oh, let me put a 82 300 or like that, right? And then we can do the IT value entered on yearly income, yeah, right? And let's say we put 82 3 or 82 300 uh, dot 45, right? This is actually has to be a num. Oh, close this up over here. So this is going to be our data, right? When we enter in 82,345 cents, it should return to us, or should it? That's going to be an interesting experiment because on the UI itself, right, you can't enter it with decimals. But I'm curious if in here you send it with decimals, what's going to happen? So that is a curious thought experiment that I am eager to find out. Okay, so we have that part. Let's see what else we can do. Let's see what else we can do. All right, so now the next part, which I still need to spend some more time on, is I'm just gonna write out what we need to do, and then we're gonna figure out how we're gonna do it, right? So we need to say, okay, so now on the widget for entering the total annual income slash intake, because income doesn't necessarily have to be the same thing as intake, right? Because like let's say from your job, you're making $150,000 a year, right? But let's say you have other things that are like, let's say you have YouTube, let's say you have coaching, let's say you have whatever else the case may be, right? Where you're making like another 150, right? So your intake, which could also be your income, is like at 300. But I don't know. It just depends how you want to break it down. So that's why I just put income slash intake, right? So on the widget for entering the so we need to call up the widget for the input field, enter or pass in the value for that. I don't even think this is going to be necessary going forward, but then we need to, once we have that, then we need to, I think at that point we just do this, right? So now the next thing that we need to do, what I'm going to focus on in the next couple of days, is how to, because what I'm doing, so what I'm doing here, right? I'm calling the widget of the um, time cost calc app, right? Um, and in that widget, I'm just saying find the title. So what I really want to do is, before we even get into all that, so first I want to say, all right, I want to call this right here, right? And I want to make sure that this is the title. And I need to be able to find a way, because it has to be possible, because you can do it in Selenium and stuff like that. But I want to drill down, right? I want to say, find the material app and get the title, right? And say this is the time cost. Like the title is equal to time cost calculator. And then get the scaffold app bar and title, and the text should be time cost calculator. The alignment should be centered, right? Because what I want to do is when I run a test, if something was to change, like let's say I typoed something and I or because I saw that the other day, right? I had something as actually aligned right when it should have been centered, and I had to go back and fix that. But I would want these to be like I'd want my layout also to be automated for the most part, because the way that we're setting up, it should be pretty standard, you know. Like I want to make sure that like I'm not breaking any of these things, and it's a lot easier to run your tests and make sure that they're all in the right position instead of like having to manually test it. Because when you manually test stuff, you're gonna miss stuff, right? And especially like, and it might take you like, let's say every time you make a change, you have to manually test everything. That's gonna take you a long time versus like running a series of tests that's gonna tell you like, okay, everything is in the right spot. So what I am going to do is I'm going to figure out how to drill down to like by if I put this in here, I want to drill down to the home, and it should be scaffold. But like go down all the way to app bar, all the way here, and then in this widget that we have here for the time cost calculator, I also want to be able to drill down to like the list view, like into all of these, right? And to make sure like the text is correct. Because let's say we bring on other developers and there's a typo change or there's a text that changes via typo or whatever. We want to make sure that we're capturing that and we're making sure, okay, we either need to update our test or we need to update our test or we need to make sure that the code is correct, you know. So and you know, so going through like all of these, making sure the video, like the expansion tile happens, the the fields are correct. The size, not. I mean, we could validate for the size. I don't know yet. Um, but yeah, so that's what the idea behind the testing. So the next coming days, weeks, I'm going to be very focused on getting this widget testing in place and having a better understanding of that and how to drill down way better into these things. You know, if I click on here. Do I have anything? Yeah, I don't see anything yet, but that's going to be a very, very good investigation for me to do, especially as a QA engineer. Getting like having a better because if I can find a better testing strategy and structure around these apps and these widgets, then we're going to be in a lot better place. And even with like with automating for like let's say you're using Appium to test your like the actual mobile application, how do we add because like I was looking at my code that was generated, it just throws in a bunch of it's like just a bunch of XML with no serious structure. So I would want to say, okay, how am I able to add tags and IDs and stuff like that? So that's going to be the investigation that we're going to be working on for like the foreseeable future for the most part. Getting good tests around our Flutter built mobile apps and go from there, right? So let's wrap it up for today. I think this was outside of the annoying computer issues. I think this was very, very productive. That like we were able to start mapping out the tests that we're going to write. You know, so let me put some spaces here. Start mapping that out. So we'll see how that goes. But if you have any thoughts or questions about what I'm working on, if you have any ideas, um, you know, drop me a comment, and I'll be sure to respond to you. But I hope that this is informative and helpful for you. So let's go to full screen. Gonna wrap up the show. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much, Mitch, for being here. As always, you are very, very appreciated. And we are going to wrap it up for this morning. We're making progress, right? Like I was like, honestly, I'll tell you this, right? I spent so much time over the past week to get this to a state where we can put it into the app store and stuff like that, so that I could get to the testing part because the testing is very like is pretty much the most important part to me is like having good tests in place. So as we build upon the app and precepts upon precepts upon precepts, we have a solid foundation, a solid we have like a solid backbone to what we're working on. All right. So Yeah, let's wrap it up and let's leave it there for now. We will pick this back up on well, I'll keep working on it, but we'll pick up this conversation on Friday morning on our next episode of Coffee and Kata with Tech Coach Ralph. And like I said, at noon today, Eastern time, we're going to be releasing the introduction to QA engineering. And then tomorrow night, we're going to be going live to continue working on automation, refactoring, and implementing the page object model on Selenium, Cypress, and Playwright using the Free Mind Recovery website. All right. So, with that being said, thank you guys so much for tuning in, for being here. I really, really appreciate it. We are going to head out, and I will see you later. Have a wonderful, wonderful Wednesday. Enjoy your Valentine's Day. And but with regardless of whatever you do, right? Continue to work, continue to push. Like honestly, Valentine's Day doesn't have to be a whole 24 hours. It's just 1-2 hours, but you have to keep making progress. You have to keep pushing. You have to keep winning. All right, take that for what it's worth. And on that note, I am going to head out. So, and if anyone questions you about it, tell them that Tech Coach Ralph told you so. All right, and I have no problem taking the smoke, taking the heat. Right, but you have to be productive every single day. There are no days off. All right. On that note, friends, this is Tech Coach Ralph, and we're out.
You might think that getting into the IT field is impossible without a computer science degree, but Tech Coach Ralph is here to prove you wrong. Get ready for some jaw-dropping revelations on how to break into this lucrative industry. Listen up, tech enthusiasts! Are you ready to break through into the IT field, but feel like you need a computer science degree to make it happen? Think again! Tech Coach Ralph has some exclusive, mind-blowing secrets to share with you. Get ready to be blown away by his jaw-dropping revelations on how to break into the tech industry without a computer science degree. So get your notepad ready, because Tech Coach Ralph is going to change your life forever. Buckle up, because you're about to embark on a journey to success in the IT field.